why 99% of Christian creators are broke, and more importantly, what should you do differently if you actually want to get paid. My name is Justin, and even though I had one of these, I was broke, and it's because I made one simple mistake. But if I fast forward just a few years, I'm now having months like these, which actually allow me to continue church planting and hosting Bible studies all for free. And on this channel, I want to save you both time and frustration by giving away all of the secrets that I know to sustainable online ministries, so consider subscribing. One paradigm shift, this one thing has helped one of my students who only had 621 followers generate $100,000 in revenue in just 6 months. And it's this same one paradigm shift that allowed my family the gift of having my wife go from broke, stressed out, and overworked to just stressed and overworked, but now as a full-time mother. So if you want to grow an online ministry and you want to monetize it so that you and your ministry can bless others as well as your family, then buckle up, because first thing is that we have an uncomfortable truth pill that we need to swallow. Here it is. Running an online ministry is nothing like running a good church. In churches all across the world, people understand that it's their giving that keeps the mission going. Tithing is baked into the culture, and most people who attend and find value in a local church congregation are at least aware that they ought to be supporting. And so, generally speaking, as long as you preach well, you care for people, and you lead faithfully, there is a meaningful percentage of faithful believers who will be there to support. But on the internet, none of that exists. And this is true even when you have a thriving YouTube channel that reaches millions of people like mine was. You will still have to learn the hard truth that no one is thinking about tithing to your YouTube channel. And it's not because they're ungrateful, it's simply because they've been conditioned by the platform. What exactly do I mean? People are used to watching hours of free content on YouTube. They're used to reading blog posts for free, binging podcasts for free. And the overwhelming majority of what people do on the internet is still free. And so unless you reframe what you're doing online, you will always be seen as just another content creator. And this is why most Christian creators will never get paid. They're stuck in what I call the Goodwill trap, just hoping that someone will donate or feel generous one day. But here's the truth. Hoping that people give is not a reliable strategy. It's just a recipe for a slow and painful burnout. But what is the alternative? What do we need to do differently in order to still reach millions with the gospel online, but finally be able to put food on the table? One word: context. Think about how people act in a bookstore. No one walks into a Barnes & Noble and expects to walk out with free books. Why? Because the context tells them that this is a place of value exchange. In other words, we all know that books cost money. And this is still true, even when those books that we buy still contain the same stories, the same words, the same ideas that one would deliver for free on a podcast or YouTube channel. Now, I'm not saying that the answer is to go and write a book, but instead to pay attention to how a change of context changes how people respond to your message. This is the power of digital tent making. You need to change the context from free content creator to a gospel-centered coach. And I say coach because people expect to invest in coaching. Think about it. People pay for fitness coaches, business coaches, life coaches, and even relationship coaches. Why? Because when it comes to coaching, we understand that we're not just paying for information. We're paying for support, structure, and most importantly, transformation. Because when people believe that transformation is possible, investment becomes a no-brainer. It's no longer about paying you, it's actually about betting on themselves. So let's make it really practical. How did my student with only 621 followers generate over $100,000 in 6 months? By changing the context from content creating to coaching. Instead of free YouTube videos or free podcasts or even maybe a $20 book, Daniel offered his services as an evangelism coach. The result is that his clients, a church in Baltimore, Maryland, baptized 115 people using Daniel's strategies and frameworks on community outreach and public evangelism. Daniel offered his services as a coach to help that church get a result. 115 baptisms later, and I think it's safe to say that this result is the kind of thing that churches are happy to invest in. So if you're going to earn a living as a Christian content creator, you need to change the context. You need to become a digital tent maker. And this is exactly what I teach people how to do. I teach pastors how to translate their unique gifting into robust, scalable coaching programs. If you want to learn how, check out the Digital Tent Making Workshop, linked below.